So depend. Cutting progress.
We will be starting shortly. We are waiting for more participants to join.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you all?
What lies?
Late. Continue.
What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you. A very warm greetings to one and all present here from the entire Little Scholars fraternity and Setu team. And I am Manya Agarwal, your anchor for today's evening. The Little Scholars Social Service Group, Setu, is thriving constantly since 2015 till date. This year's theme is Sustainable Consumption and Production. I would like to welcome our dynamic co-founder owner, Mrs. Ritu Bhalla, the founder of Setu, Mr. Pankaj Bhalla and Mr. Rohit Bhalla, and our very own guide and supporter, Principal Mrs. Shikha Gautam. I would also like to welcome our panelist for today's event, Ms. Sanya Malhotra, who has been working on ecologically sound architecture projects in Ladakh and Uttarakhand, and Mr. Lokesh Ghai, a textile artist and researcher. He is currently in Ladakh with backstrap loom weavers. Today we are here to explore second day of the workshop, and earlier we had an introduction to sustainable consumption and production, depletion on natural forests because of unlimited and unsatisfied human wants, also about negligent behavior of industrialists and their environment unfriendly practices. So now let's proceed with today's session. Sandhya ma'am, Lokesh sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry I'm late. How are you all? Let's actually begin with, the assignment that you all had. Feel free, whoever is confident, let's start with your daily schedule.
Ma'am, may I?
Sure.
Ma'am, I wake up at 5:30 a.m. and then get ready for school, get to my breakfast, leave for school at 7:20 a.m. After reaching school, and I study. And after the school, I come home, I reach home at 2:30 p.m. Then after doing some rest, I do my homework. Then take after that from I come back from tuition and do my studies, self-studies.
Hi, I'm having some connectivity issues. Continue. You were at you go to school. I actually have a question before that. From 5:30 to the time that you go to school, what all do you do? You have a bath, you brush your teeth, you get ready. Do you do your homework? Like, can you be a little more detailed, maybe?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when I woke up at 5:30 a.m., I go to brush my teeth, and after brushing, take a bath, get ready for school, have a breakfast, and then leave for school at 7:20 a.m. I reach school at 7:30 a.m. and then our classes start from 8, then till it is to 2:15.
Okay.
And then at 2:30 I reach home. After that, doing some rest to till 3. I go to tuition, and at 7 I come home and then I sleep.
Got it. Out of the entire day, were you able to map out the amount of waste you're producing every hour with every activity?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, when I just wake up, like I first to use my toothbrush. So after a week or 2 weeks, my toothbrush is just useless. So and it is of plastic. During my breakfast, I after having two chapatis, I just have a biscuit because I'll then when I come back from the school, I just do my homework, due to which I need pencils and many other things. So some waste is generated from there also, like some papers are wasted, and the peels and the waste from our pencils, etc. And
Right.
then I just go to tuition, and while the way to tuition, I just take some snacks, and that also produces some kind of waste.
Right.
And I just
Right.
came home.
Thank you so much. That is nice. Is there anybody else who wants to share maybe a little more about the categorization of waste? Like how often do
Ma'am,
you...
maybe?
Sure, please go ahead.
Ma'am, we need to share the screen. We don't have the option.
Uh, how can I do that? Now try. Great. So nice.
Good evening, everyone. We from Vision Valley School, as Team Green Gang, present you the map out of our day. I would now like to invite Umang to continue with the presentation further.
Yes, thank you, Gunur. These are the early activities that we have performed yesterday. In the morning from 8 to 9 a.m., we followed the normal routine that most of the people follow. Then from 9 to 12 p.m., I did what I usually like to do. From 12 to 2 p.m., I studied as my mom asked me to do. Then further, as you can see, I did enjoy my time as my daily schedule. Moving on to the next slide. Now, here is a list of usage of items that we use usually. There are many things that we rarely use in our daily life, but also some that we use regularly in our daily life. In the
Right.
slide, you can see the things that have single use, multiple use, and unlimited use.
Very nice.
Now, from here, I would like to share the presentation to Kushagra.
Thank you, Umang. Now, when we talk about the things, there is one more way we can categorize them. It is how often we throw them. So, based on this, we categorize them as daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Now, when we see, we talk about daily food leftovers, napkin, packet food wrappers, plastic bags, fruit, vegetable peels, etc. are thrown daily. Weekly, pens, empty boxes, jars, expired cosmetics, and medicines are thrown daily. Now moving on to monthly, sanitary napkins, stationery brush, toothpaste, soaps, etc. are thrown monthly. Yearly, shoes, old clothes, bulbs, e-waste, toys, bags, etc. are thrown. Now when we observe the things, what I observe, two things that are, we many a times we throw things unnecessarily, and we do not follow the proper procedure to throw them. Now further I would like to call Gunu to take off on the presentation.
Thank you, Kushagra. Now I would like to conclude with the main topic, that is avoidable or necessary. As we all know that there are many items in our life that we use in our daily routine. Some are the basic necessities of our life, but some can be avoidable. Avoidable items like plastic bags, new clothes, new phones, new school bags, new stationery, new cosmetic products, etc. are the things that can be avoided. Necessary items like food, water, clothes, gadgets, brush, necessary stationery items like notebooks, books, pens, pencils, etc. are the necessary things. Knowing that we can still use the old ones, we usually buy new clothes, gadgets, cosmetics, etc. just to be in trend or follow the ongoing fashion. In this way, we waste our resources. At last, I would like to say that each one of us single-handedly can bring about a lot of change. All we need to do is start now without faffing our time. Thank you.
Lovely. That was so nice. Really, really nice. I think everybody who liked the presentation, please give a thumbs up now on this. It'd be nice to encourage them. Really good work, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, very specifically, I'm going to ask, is there some kind of, okay, how many of you thinks that say pens are a necessary waste? Just a thumbs up would be great.
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
How many of you think that pens are a necessary waste?
हेलो मैम.
Yes.
Yes मैम, जो अभी मैम the topic we discussed about recently about the things we do in the whole day, ma'am, our team has created a chart on it. So ma'am, can we please present it?
Sure. Do you can I explain the 5 things and then all of you can present quickly?
Yes. Yes ma'am.
Take it.
Yes
So
ma'am.
what we do is, see, overall, I know that all of you have a similar day, right? Because you're all in the same school, you're roughly of the same age, 9th to 12th grade. So you get up, you go to the bathroom, you get ready, you have your food, you go to your school, you go to your
Yes,
tuition,
ma'am.
you go have fun with your friends, etc., etc. So there is, overall, the type of waste that everybody is essentially producing is kind of the same. And don't worry, all of your presentations and everything, we have a day where everything would be displayed by you together. And this is basically the base of an assignment that you all will get today. So even if you're not able to, don't worry at all, it's gone to waste. It's basically the base for you guys to do something very, very fun today. Like you guys said, right? There are some types of waste that are avoidable. There are some types of waste that are completely necessary. So one thing that we can very easily do to avoid the unnecessary parts is to question before we start buying things. Give me 1 second. Right. So if you start questioning, you realize that every little thing that you buy now, okay, I find this pen very nice. I find this pen stand very nice. I find this perfume very nice. If you ask these 6 questions before you buy something, you can avoid at least 80% of the unnecessary things. You won't spend money, you won't spend time. So do I need or want this item? If you need it, get it. If you want it, wait for 2-3 weeks. If you still want it, then maybe you can buy it. But mostly it's just an instantaneous desire that goes out. Can I buy this second hand? This is very, very important for clothes, tools, books, all of these things that are a little expensive and can be used multiple times. Can I buy this locally? Now this helps you think about the carbon footprint. You're buying something that's come to your place from Karnataka versus you're buying something that's come to your place from Dehradun. Obviously, something that's closer to you has a lesser carbon footprint, right? How long will this last? If it's going to die out tomorrow versus you can expensive option that will last you for 3 weeks, it's always better to buy the second one. Can it be repaired and reused, and can it be recycled? Now, there are some items that, like both of the teams mentioned, and I'm sure all of you else also have it, are pens. There are about tons of pens that are thrown out each year because one, they're cheap. We don't really care about keeping them safe because we're like 5 rupees ka hi to hai, fir se le lenge. And there's no responsibility that we have towards it. The best alternative essentially is to buy a fountain pen and refill it with glass bottles. Now, if you find it difficult to switch to a fountain pen, take your time, start practicing, have that pen there. One thing that I found very useful is the fact that when I bought a fountain pen, it was for 150 rupees. So I made an extra effort to make sure that I don't use it. Versus a ball pen that I buy for 5 or 10 rupees, I don't really care about it that much, right? That also these little things help you take care of your things so you don't lose them. The other thing you can do is make paper pens. So this doesn't reduce your plastic by 100%, but it does give you 85%. If somebody's mic that's on, can you mute it? Thank you so much. So what you do is you take a piece of paper and you roll it around the ink, the patla refill that you get, and you can make your own pen. I'll send you video links to this, but using this trick actually saves obviously so much money because you get like 5 refills for 10 rupees. But because you've made it, you've had fun with it, you don't tend to lose them. They're not a lot of waste of plastic. You can use old paper that you've already written on to make them, so on and so forth. But of course, the best is to stick to ink pens. When you can use pencils, use pencils. But of course, pencils are also coming from wood, which means that trees are being cut for it, which means that it is resource intensive in one way or the other. Another thing that we throw out a lot is paper. All of your rough notebooks, your school notebooks, your assignment papers. Essentially, you can only recycle it 5. So use it wisely. Everything that can be recycled or not. But this is one really easy way to make paper at home. There is a small YouTube video, but since we're running short on time today, I'm just going to link it so that you can probably experiment with it tomorrow since you have a free day tomorrow. All you need is, waste paper. You tear it up, you soak it in water all night. It becomes a mush by the morning. You run it in a mixer or you just grind it by hand. And then you use a channi. Jo aate ke liye hum channi use karte hain na, the bigger one. You put the paper on it, let it seep, and you have a thin sheet of paper. All of these things are interesting in the beginning, but once they become, habits, like say sticky notes, bills, all of these little pieces of paper, anything that's smaller by 5 centimeter to 5 centimeter, that cannot be recycled because the machines that are set up for recycling do not have the capacity to tear down that smaller shred. So all of these little pieces of paper that you keep throwing, you can collect them, and once a month you decide, okay, now I want to make my own paper. You can decide with your friends to make a full diary. You can gift it to somebody. You can gift it to your mom, your friends, whatever. So there are these little things that can make your life more interesting and also exponentially reduce the amount of waste you're producing. Now coming to some, again, avoidable waste. Toothpicks and napkins we pick up just like that. But if you think about it, it's wood. Both of them are coming from trees that take years and years to grow. And just for 5 seconds of convenience, we use that and throw it, and it's gone. Like, how many trees have to be cut for this 2 seconds of convenience? On the other hand, if you're able to take your own handkerchief, that makes things so much easier. If you take one tiffin in your bag everywhere, and whenever you leave food, you pack it in that instead of taking the plastic box from them. Momos, all of these things you carry your small little plastic bowls they give you for chutneys and all that. If you're carrying your bag, which is very, very common now, that of course makes things easy. Now, buying in bulk might not be applicable to you in the sense that you're not buying groceries, but say you're 4 friends going out. Instead of buying 10 rupee packet of chips, you buy one big packet that is 30 rupees and you split that. At least instead of creating 4 packets of waste, you created only one. When you can't do the best, because we're not being able to zero waste, doesn't mean that's not the best practice. Of a fork or a mixture of a fork in your, most of us know this, right? But we forget it. Why do we forget it? Because we're always in a rush to go out. So if you keep it where you keep your keys to the vehicle, you already keep it in your Activas, if you have cycles, then you hang something to the cycle, or just where you keep your keys. You will always remember to take them when you go out, and you will avoid so much waste. One super important thing that you can do is research before you buy. Before I bought a shampoo, before I bought a bag, before I bought a new piece of clothing, I tried to research if there were more sustainable alternatives that were within my budget. And if they were, I would always go for that. So it's just 5 minutes, but it makes a whole lot of difference. Now, coming to the unavoidable ways. Now, this we talked about, ठीक है, कई चीजें हैं जो हम avoid कर सकते हैं, but कई चीजें हम avoid कर ही नहीं सकते. Like, you need a bottle of sauce, and things are wrapped in paper, so you have to buy them like that. Now, there are so many ingredients, so many things that you use in house that come in plastic, and of course, organic waste. So, I think most of you would have probably missed this, that when you are eating the food, there is so many fruit and vegetable peels that are going behind it. So many wrappers of things that are being thrown on the back end so that you get that food on your plate, right? So what happens to all of this? We'll go one by one. Paper and glass are something that can be recycled. So how many of you have kabadi walas coming to your house? Can I know it by just like a show of hands? Great. That's a lot of people. So I'm seeing almost everybody. Don't. Can you tell me what's the reason for not having it? Have you never thought about it? Is it difficult for you to find people around you, or what's the reason? I see Team Beyond Energies not raised their hands. Ecominions haven't. Ecolution haven't. I just generally want to know, have you not thought about it? What's the reason behind you not having such a system at home? Anybody? Okay, since nobody is answering, I'm assuming that it's either you haven't thought about it, it doesn't matter enough, it wasn't easy, convenient, it was time consuming. But all of these things, if you think about it in the long run, you giving 2 months worth of ways to a kabaddi wala is actually helping. That's his job. Like, he gets money out of selling it to somebody else. So if you don't want to do it for the planet, you can do it for a social cause. There are multiple ways this can benefit somebody or something, right? So try to get into the habit of this. Ask your friends how they're doing it. Ask your parents, ask your relatives, and try to get into the habit of this. It will be really, really good for you. They also pay you a little amount of money when you collect things, which is not significant in any way, but it acts as an initial boost to help you get into the habit, and then you know that it's good for the planet and you start doing it. So two things we're sorted with. It's great to buy things in glass, it's great to buy things in paper because they're not degrading our environment relentlessly. On the other hand, plastic is something that is vehemently destroying our planet, the oceans, the soil, the quality of the water, everything. So plastic is a huge topic that we'll cover day after, because soft plastics, the hard plastics, what do you do with them, so on and so forth. It's long, so we'll do that day after. Organic waste though is something that seems to be, since it's decomposable, we don't think a lot about it. But one, how many of you know the difference between something that can be composted and something that is biodegradable? Just a show of hands again. 11 people have raised their hands. Okay. So for the rest of you, everything essentially will biodegrade. If you keep plastic, after 150 years, it will degrade. But compostable means that if you put it in a certain environment, you give it the right amount of heat, the right amount of water, and the right soil, microorganisms, and all of that, then it gets composted in a short period of time and it gets blended into the soil, into the compost per se, right? So things that are compostable are always better because they add to the quality of soil. Better soil leads to better plants leads to a better environment, so on and so forth. It's a full cycle. Degradable is basically everything. It really means nothing. Biodegradable, on the other hand, is also something that you leave it and it just gets degraded, which is always best. Like paper is biodegradable. You leave it in the soil and it'll get degraded. You won't have to worry about it. So it's very important to know this for organic waste. Seeds take a long time to compost. If you put a mango seed versus you put the cover of a mango, the cover of a mango will go in like a month. The seed might take 6 months to finally get composted. So it's important to differentiate all of this. But what you can do other than composting are easier things. Like my parents were completely against composting. I tried doing it at home once and there were earthworms all over our garden. And it wasn't the best experience for me. So I was trying to find alternate ways. So there are millions and millions of cows in India, as all of you know, because we really worship them as sacred to us. Peels of vegetables, which is not so heavy on nutrients as much as, say, the stalk of spinach would be, or the cover of mangoes would be, or watermelon covers would be. So all of these things, as long as they've not come from your plate, they're not juta, because we're all religious people and we have this notion in our head. So you keep it aside, you keep it in a clean box and give it at the end of the day to a gaushala. That is what we do, because we have a gaushala like 200 meters from the house. We also have somebody who has a cow and it used to cost her 5,000 rupees a month to feed her cow. And that is a lot of money for somebody who's, not very well off. So now she just collects fruits and vegetable peels from three houses, and that's good enough for the cow. So that is one way you can go about it. Anything that is wasted, if you can mix it with a few rotis, few breads, and give it to the stray dogs, that is great. You won't have any leftover food that's going to waste. You want to start composting for little things like covers of onions. That is not something you can give to the cows. Those little things you can start with a small dabba and start composting these stuff. It's very good to start experimenting on a small scale. Don't think that you need to change the entire world in one day, because you can't and you don't even need to. You need to start small and then you need to level up every day. Now, one super easy thing that you can do is starch water. So whenever you have aloo parathas or bread rolls, pasta, all of these things need to be boiled. And when they're boiled, the water has starch. This starch-rich water can be used to water your plants because it acts as natural fertilizer. Growing your own food, of course, is the best way because you're creating a cycle at home. Now, not everybody has gardens to be able to do this. So there are some super easy things that you can start with. Tulsi, tejpatta, ajwain, pudina, all of these things grow in water. So, you buy cold drinks and all of these a lot of times. Although this can be recycled, you can also cut it up and reuse it at home. Put water. Get a little stem from a friend's house who already has this. Put it in water. It'll start developing roots and it'll grow very nicely in like 2 months, 2 weeks. So just starting a little bit now, all you need is the push. Once you get this gratification from this plant growing, you'll be like, okay, now let me do a tomato. Now let me do a mirchi. And it'll be step by step everything. Now, even when you get there, it's always friction to be able to go to a seed shop and buy seeds. So here is a list of things that you can directly use from grocery stores, from something that's there in your house. Dhania seeds are there everywhere. Sarso everybody has. Moong dal everybody has. Methi seeds is something that's there in every house. Fenugreek seeds. Seeds from chilies, tomatoes. All of these things you can directly plant. You don't need to go and buy things in a store. Lastly, water that you fill, 3 liters is wasted. So instead of wasting, put a little container there. What we do in our house is that we use this water to wash our hands. We don't use the tap here because it's literally the same, right? So to wash utensils and to wash our hands, we use this and nothing's wasted. So these little things that you think don't matter now, they matter so much. Actually, 30% of the waste you produce every day is organic and it goes unseen because what comes to your plate is that beautiful meal that your mother or your father or anybody who's cooking in your house gets to you, right? It's very easy to overlook, but it's also very easy to do something about it. Give me one second. Sorry. Yeah. So before we go on to how to deal with plastics, there are a few ways in which you can avoid plastic in the first place. Can I see maybe by a show of hands again? How many of have you mapped out the amount of plastic you're producing in a day by the exercise you guys did yesterday? Okay, I can see 3 hands, 4. Nobody else? Okay. Great. How many of you think that it was more than 50% of the waste that you produced? Lots. Yeah. Actually, plastic is very, very prevalent. It's easy. Plastic as a material is not bad. Thing that you mapped out yesterday, all of these, what was coming in plastic, right? It's usually cleaners. There are things you use in the bathroom, things you use in the kitchen, usually liquid things. But all of these are things that you can make at home. All of these ingredients would essentially help you clean in some way or the other. These are basics. If you know the basics, you can mix and match, make recipes, make concoctions that are going to help you for different purposes. We buy Harpic, Lysol, dishwashing liquids, soaps, shampoos, a plethora of cleaning liquids, and actually all of them can just be made by different mixes of these things that I'm showing you right here. So the first exercise essentially would be for you guys to make these ingredients at home. If you're able to make them at home, you won't even have to buy the plastic in the first place. Things like baking soda come in a cardboard box. Vinegar comes in a glass bottle. Lemons are naturally there. Even if you essentially have to buy any one of this in a plastic bottle, think that you'll buy one of this and use it to make 10 other things versus buying 10 things in plastic individually, right? So this is one thing that we can experiment with. This is one example. It's super easy. All you do is take 4 tablespoons of baking soda and one like 200 ml of warm water. This will help you make the sinks, the slabs, everything spotlessly clean. Try it out, make a concoction, keep it at home. The thing is that you try to make something that can be preserved for long. If you have to make something every day, it becomes inconvenient. If you go to your mom and you say, "Mama, harpic use करने की जगह every day आप ये 4 चीजें लो, इनको mix करो, measure करो, mix करो, फिर use करो," you're increasing her work. Why would she want to do it, right? Instead, if you can make a concoction that she can use as easily as she was using the other cleaner, the Lysol, the thing that she used to use wash her utensils, then she will use it. So always think about convenience when you're trying to do these DIYs, and never create waste than you were doing earlier. Another thing you can experiment with is things for the bathrooms and garden. Now, if any of you do have garden at home, you have to buy a lot of things to keep the soil good. You have to buy herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, etc., etc. And all of those again come in plastic. All of those again have chemicals that make the soil quality bad, so on and so forth. But if you start experimenting, so many things that get wasted in the house, eggshells, banana peels, chai patti, coffee grounds, all of these things are natural fertilizers. You don't even have to compost them. You can put them directly in the soil and it will help build the soil and make the plants better. So what I want you guys to do is be extremely attentive about the waste that you're producing every day. Pick it out, see what can be done. Google it, ask your friends, ask your mom. Mostly your grandmothers will really know how to do this. So there are so many face packs and hair masks that your parents must have said, okay, you've tanned, do this. Your hair are not healthy today, do this. So many things that have been passed down by ancestors, and now we don't do that. Essentially, they're closing the loop. We talked about circularity yesterday, correct? So instead of making it linear, instead of me having an orange and throwing away the peel, I can have the orange, I can dry the peel, I can make a powder out of it, and I can use that powder for multiple things. I can use it as incense, I can use it as a face pack, I can use it to make my shoes smell nice. I can do so many things with it, and that dried powder can stay with me for 6 months. I have to do nothing to preserve it. So these circular loops are going to help you reduce the waste, reduce the things you buy, and essentially close the linearity of things and make things more efficient. Another thing you can experiment with is tooth powders. So there are like 30, 40 recipes of tooth powders that you can make with things available in Indian kitchens. Indian kitchens are a gold mine of spices. And all of these things have internal antifungal, antibacterial properties. And that's why they're very, very good to make all these cleaning products. So go ahead, go crazy, try to make things that are circular, that are reducing the amount of waste you produce. If not, the second option would be to pick 3-4 items like the ones that I showed you. Pick those 3-4 items and try to make the maximum number usable items from that. So say I decide to take vinegar, baking soda, and coconut oil, and from this I make a shampoo, I make a washing powder, a washing liquid, I'm able to make something to clean wood, so on and so forth. So whoever is able to use the minimum number of ingredients to make the maximum number of products, that's great. Whoever is able to use the maximum number of waste that they mapped out yesterday to be able to make something so that they don't have to buy anything, that is also good. So now I'm assuming you will all have a lot of questions. So I will shift to questions, and then Lokesh sir has something to add. We'll talk about that. Anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask? Any confusions with the assignment? What you have to do? How you have to do it?
Good morning, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, actually, ma'am, the thing we have to make from the waste material that we have to present on the final day.
Yes, you make it, and you make it in a way that it can be preserved. Don't make something that you make in the morning and sham tak ko kharab ho jaye. Don't make anything like that. Try to use more dry ingredients. Like if you use potato peels and you say I want to make a face mask out of it, वो अगले दिन ही खराब हो जाएगा. But if you take the, like I said, orange peels, you dry it up in the sun, or you put it in the oven and dry it up, and then you make a powder of it. Then you can keep it for a while, and then the usability. So make sure to use waste for a purpose. Don't just make crafty things. Make things that are solving something for you, something that you would otherwise spend money and buy. Does that make sense?
Actually, I had a question. We talked about how we can use the things that are around us and that we consider waste. But what about the plastic products that we already own? What can we do about them?
Next class is going to be about that only. Next session is about the plastic things, what we can do with the plastic we have. And there are some things that we can't DIY, can't make them at home. Like, you have to buy coconut oil. There is no way you can make coconut oil at home, right? So what do you do with that bottle? These questions we will answer in the next session, and it'll be really fun because I'm sure you guys will enjoy, because there'll be a group activity and you can make something really fun for your school. So don't think about the plastic you have, think about the things you can avoid and how you can do that.
And also, like yesterday I went to one of the favorite shake shop of mine where I had a chocolate shake, and they like the container was plastic. So why can't they just replace it?
Your voice got cut. You went to buy a shake and your shake was packaged in plastic.
Yes. So why wasn't like why aren't they just replacing it like their containers?
So there's a lot of research that's going on. This is a really good question, everybody. Plastic is very cheap. It is so cheap that you get 100 glasses for 50 rupees. So if somebody's trying to sell you a shake, they just want to earn money, right? They will not try to spend money on the packaging because they're not going to get paid for it. You're just going to pay for the shake. You're not going to pay 20 rupees extra for a paper cup if they give that to you. Also, paper cups don't have great durability. Most of them have a lining of plastic on the inside, which is even worse because if you sell it to put it to the recycling center, they have to separate out the paper, separate out the plastic, and recycle them separately. Versus if you give them just a plastic glass, at least they can directly recycle it. So it's reducing the number of steps. It's very difficult for people to go against norms. Like even you, if I tell you to stop using the plastic pen today and shift to the fountain pen, it'll take you a while to adjust to it, right? It's expensive, it's new, you don't know how to use it, you're not very comfortable with it, so on and so forth. So everybody is trying, but like you have to give leeway to the fact that it's not so easy. Like we know it's not so easy. How tough is it for us to buy soap rather than body washes? Soaps are packaged in a small paper if you buy the right soap, and body washes are in this big container of plastic that we can't do anything about. But sometimes it's just about convenience. What you can actually do is take your own glass there. Tell them that I don't want your glass. Here is my glass. No cost of their goes. You just have to carry your glass every time. Get the shake in that and take it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Very nice question.
Ma'am, I have a question too.
Hanji.
Ma'am, as you tell that we can make a paper by ourselves by making the wet bulk of it and drying it.
Right.
So ma'am, wouldn't it break on its own? Ma'am, like sometimes a piece of paper remains in my pockets, and when it gets washed away with my dress, when I take it away, ma'am, I see that it gets in small particles. So ma'am, wouldn't it affect the recycled paper that I made?
I'm going to show you a small video.
Scraps, so I made that into its own pot.
Because I just want you to understand what I'm trying to say. So you're right, paper lines, it'll go back. But that is exactly the point that's leveraged to make this paper in the first place. So you shred all your rough papers, maybe, okay, or your sticky notes. Now, rough papers are something that the kabadi wala will take and he will pay you for it and he will make sure it's recycled in a good way. But all these little pieces of paper, na, jo hum phaatte rehte hain, wo kuch. So you shred it up like this, you soak it in water overnight. Then what you get is, my net is bad. Then what you get is a mush. This mush you put in a mixie or you crush with something heavy so that it becomes a pulp. Once it becomes a pulp, you put it on a strainer with water. Like she's used this, you can just use the strainer that's there in your house. There are multiple videos on YouTube that will help you understand this. And what essentially happens is the flimsiness of paper, you actually take it out of water in a way that it sticks to each other. Once it sticks to each other, you put it on a piece of cloth and you make it dry. That's when it becomes a homogeneous sheet of paper. Like this is all mush. This is all paper mush. Do you see what she's doing? Now she'll just keep it on a dry towel. She'll wipe it. But it has quite, it doesn't get torn off. It behaves like normal paper. But this is not something that you can of course try to make this, but this is not something that is, this is just one object. Right now our assignment is to make as many number of objects as we can from waste. So this sure is one thing you can try, but this was just an example. Do this, but also experiment, explore, find new things to do.
Ma'am, what I actually do that I use a board and a marker at home, matlab, without using the rough notebooks. So, ma'am, the board can be used multiple times, and the marker can be filled again and again with the ink. So, ma'am, I prefer to use board and a marker at home mostly.
That is really good. What's your name?
Ma'am, Divyansh.
Divyansh, that is really nice actually. All of you, this is the best. If you cannot produce waste, there is nothing better than that. Reusable things are always better. I actually bought an iPad, saved so much money and bought an iPad because I used to draw a lot on paper, and I got it. But now that I have an iPad, I can just keep drawing on it and saving, and my paper doesn't go to waste. Of course, there is a difference in the amount of cutting down on waste is going to the source, which is perfect. Great work, Divyansh. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys? There was something in the chat. How many things do we have to prepare for the exhibition? You have to prepare the maximum number of things. Think that you're setting up a stall and you're selling things to people who are coming to your stall. You have to be able to give them what they need. You will know what they need because you mapped out your day. You know what your family needs. You know what you buy. All you have to do is give it to them in a way that is sustainable, that is low waste, that is not creating plastic, that is sustainable for a long period of time. Anything else? Are we good?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody's got the exercise. Can I have a show of hands? Are you guys excited? Are you guys confused? Great. Okay. I think this was nice. I will see you guys day after then. Oh, and when you're doing this, please keep writing down the recipes in one place, because ultimately we can also make a guidebook. Like if, say, Team Green Goblins and Team Ecolution, both of them have made tooth powders, shampoos, and toilet cleaners. They might have different recipes. Somebody must have used orange peel, somebody might have used baking soda, somebody might have used some Castile soap, absolutely different things. So it'll be nice to have all of these recipes in one place. So make a Word document, all of the teams, and keep writing down your recipes, even the ones that you experiment with and you realize, oh, this is not working. Keep the recipe there. Write down why it didn't work. Write down why you don't think it's good. Choose the good ones. You will find a lot of things on Google, and once you start experimenting now in groups, you'll be able to make a lot of things quickly. Okay then. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys day after. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.
You too.
Wow, what a marvelous session. I must admit, with every session, I'm learning something new. And I believe so do you all. Yes, guys? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. And it's so generous of the panelists to share their immense knowledge with all of us. If anyone has any query, please feel free to ask. Okay, I believe you all had already did that. Okay. I would like to thank the whole Setu team, panelists, and our enthusiastic participants. Next session is scheduled on 25th September from 4 to 5 p.m. on the topic How to Deal with Plastic, a session on types of plastic, recycling, DIY with waste. At the end, I would like to conclude with a quote. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Nice day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.